What's up everybody, Coach Mills here, coming at you with the quiet intro because the fam is sleeping right now. But in this video I wanted to break down the top 5 best agent duos in Valorant in episode 3 because we got some new characters, we got a lot of different changes to these characters, and I think a lot of you want to know exactly what is the best duo that you could be playing so that you and a buddy can dominate the ranked mode and climb a lot easier. So we're gonna break all that down, but smash that like, subscribe, and go to the GameLeap website right now for the highest quality advanced content that you'll find anywhere. A lot of you have been asking for more advanced in-depth content, and we have tons of that on the GameLeap website. You just gotta go check it out right now down below. Just go look around. You can look around for absolutely free, so go check it out. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, kicking it off with the first combo that we got to talk about is actually KO and Reyna. Now, you might be saying, okay, this is a very strange combo, but I'm going to tell you exactly why it's so damn powerful. First off, both these characters play on the exact same axis. They play on a battle of mechanics and gunplay. KO gets rid of abilities from enemies and has pop flashes to take aggressive duels and basically get rid of utility so that it's a pure gun battle. And Reyna not only has abilities that can help her get kills, but if she does get a kill, she gets heavily rewarded with mobility or sustain in that heal. So both these characters really want to play around high level gunplay, and they actually play incredibly well together. Let me give you this example. One thing that you can do to take complete sight control is combine KO's pop flash with Reyna's blind. Something about KO's pop flash is, first off, it's very hard to dodge, especially if you use it correctly, but even if you throw it out in open space, something that is really amazing about it is if enemies turn on it, you can actually throw a Reyna blind right behind it, right after the flash. Now, if enemies try to return, they're going to get completely blind by a Reyna blind. They have no idea where it's at that current location, and you and Reyna can just basically kill whoever you're trying to take sight from. On top of that, we got to talk about KO's ultimate, and KO's ultimate basically allows him to become rezzed, and something that's great about that is it's amazing for Reyna and KO together because you could hypothetically get refrags. A perfect example of this is KO and Reyna going in. KO gets a kill, then dies to someone else. Reyna goes in and potentially gets another kill and can easily follow that up using her flash, flashing where the KO died from, and using that information to make a play off of it. You combine that with the fact that if both of these characters are ulting, they fire much faster together. You can spray a lot of enemies through smokes. I mean, you could take sight control. There's just a lot this character combo can do together, especially if you and your teammate heavily grind your mechanical skill. This one might be the best two duos that you could possibly have. Now, the next combo that we actually got to talk about is Astra and KILLJOY, one of the most powerful ability combos in the entire game. These two characters together can make a basically unpushable defense. So something that you can do basically is pretty simple. You set up a NANOSWARM and you set up an Astra suck, and enemies that get caught up in the suck get activated on the nano, and you just completely destroy them. You can set up this combo in a lot of different places, where any place where enemies have to route to, whether it's pushing on ascent on B site, they have to rush speedway, and you could just completely shut them down with the suck NANOSWARM, or they're trying to push through a choke, and you could do a very similar thing. However, the best use of both these characters together is actually using the suck of Astra to pull people into KILLJOY's lockdown ultimate. A perfect example of this is retake A when you're playing Haven on defense. The most common corner that you're going to be putting that KILLJOY ultimate in actually covers the entire site, and it pushes all the way into default by the orb. However, there's a tiny corner that is completely uncontested. That corner is typically where the enemy will route into. They can push back there, and then they're pretty close to the point to push back in after the lockdown has ended. That being said, if you specifically pull them with an Astra suck right at that corner, you can pull them into the lockdown, and typically there's going to be like 2 or 3 enemies hiding in that corner, because otherwise they would have to go all the way back towards the connector, and yeah, you're going to be able to get a lot of enemies in lockdown. And this is something that you can really coordinate a lot, and I think that if you and a buddy are both Astra and KILLJOY mains, you're never going to have a bad team composition. I mean, you always are going to have a controller, you're always going to have a sentinel. Doesn't matter if the rest of your team all plays duelist. I mean, that's not optimized, but it's still going to be just fine, and you can combo off each other, and it's just one of the most powerful combos for ranked that I think any duo could possibly play. Now, the next thing that we got to talk about is Viper plus Sova, two characters that you might not think combo that well together, but honestly, these might be the 2 best characters to combo together, period. First off, Viper gets to play around LOS a lot. She gets to block LOS, she gets to play on her ultimate that denies LOS, and Viper is an amazing retake character. Now, you talk about all that or combine all that with Sova, who has the ability to gain information for retakes to make retake executes that much cleaner. Imagine a situation where you split a site in half and you use Silver's drone to clear one side of the point while you and your team go through it, and then you use Arrow on the other side of the smoke wall, gather enemy information, and then you could spray them through smoke. In that way, you got to split the entire site, take the site for free, and then execute on enemies that could not see you. That is just completely absurd, very, very freaking powerful, and something that a lot of people should start incorporating together. Something else that you gotta think about with these two characters is both of these characters have rollouts that can deny plants. Sova gets his shock arrows, he also gets his ultimate, Viper gets her snake bite, and a lot of times you'll see one person know rollouts in a game and they'll play off of it, they'll play for it. But if you and a buddy both know rollouts for your respective characters, all of a sudden you can set up scenarios where you have effectively won the round without an enemy realizing it because you stalled for enough time. Imagine a scenario where you and Viper take a long position and then the enemy tap the spike and your Viper shoots a snake bite. And then after the second tap, you do a shock dart and then you do a snake bite and then you do a shock dart and then your Sova has ultimate. I mean, you can hypothetically combo these characters together to completely shut down a defuse just way before enemies realistically think that it's shut down. They like have this little ticking time in their head thinking, hey, I have plenty of time to potentially stick this, but in reality, if y'all take a far enough position and know these rollouts together, you're just going to completely shut them down and there's nothing they can do about it. You combine all this together with both these characters, and not only are you two of the strongest characters in the entire game playing on a team that can fill any cracks for that team, but you have powerful retake strategies, powerful plant denial strategies, powerful site control strategies. I mean, there's just so much with this duo. I could just go on and on about how powerful this duo is. So I would highly suggest you play this duo with a buddy, especially if both of you are kind of game nerds and want to like learn about rollouts and things like that. That is the perfect combo together because both these characters want to learn a lot outside of the game, and y'all both can practice it in custom games together. Let's fucking go. Now moving on to the next combo that we got to talk about, we have to talk about Breach and Jet. And on top of this, I'm actually kind of making this a two-parter because Skye and Jet also work here, but the goal basically is to set up a flash dash combo. Jet is the most aggressive character in the game, or can be, and having a flash to kind of lead her in is just one of the best things you could possibly be doing. Let's first talk about Jet with Breach. Now this is very unique because you can kind of be aggressive in places that you really shouldn't be aggressive normally, but you can pull it off with this character. A perfect example of this is on defense on Ascent. Sometimes in eco rounds or some forced buy rounds, you could really catch enemies off guard by flashing tiles and having your Jet dash in with something like a stinger, or you even dash out of A main or B main and you mix this up, and it can be an amazing mix-up strategy, especially when you have close effective range weapons. You just try to catch enemies off guard and get a couple of kills for your abilities, trade out very efficiently up against enemies that have much better weaponry. Now Breach in particular, the big benefit there is the fact that Breach can actually clear a lot of site pre-execute. Jets love to dash onto point and take a lot of space, but one of the big problems is when a Jet dashes in, there's way too many cubbies for her to check, and a lot of the time she's going to get killed by dashing in, and it makes her teammates have to follow up or she's going to get no value. Let's take Ascent B for example, when a Jet has to dash out. Enemies could be CT, enemies could be ramps, enemies could be peeking from the back connector onto site, enemies could be in the cubby on the right. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so many damn places that a Jet has to keep in mind, and while she can smoke off some of them, she can't play around all of them. But if a Breach can clear out a couple of these angles first, he could use some of his other abilities to clear some of these angles. It makes the execute far cleaner. So he can clean some of these angles out with his utility, and then he can flash her in for the other angles, and then you have a much more simple execute where at the very least there's only one angle uncontested, so you can challenge that angle really easily, and at least you have your crosshair placement correct. Or there's going to be other angles that have people blinded in them or have people pushed out of them, and you're going to have an advantage in those fights as well. Now the cool thing about Skye is you can be really cheeky with the way that you use Skye and Jet. For instance, you can have a Skye just throw her bird out and not intending to pop it because enemies will give up an angle that Jet can quickly push up and take. On top of that, a Skye can assist a Jet from afar by throwing her bird to help a Jet get out. A Jet can be full blind and still dash away as long as she knows where she is and where she's facing, but if an enemy gets blinded, it's going to be very difficult for them to finish off a Jet as she's running. This type of combo is a lot harder to execute, but I think it has a lot of potential, and we've seen a lot of Koreans do it in the past, and I think it's even more powerful now with Skye just being a much better character than she used to be. Now the last combo that we got to talk about is a combo we have talked about before, but I still think it's incredibly powerful and very underrated, and it's the Sage plus RAZE combo. Now, of course, the easiest combo to pull off with this characters or these set of characters is the slow plus nade, and this is something that you can do all over the place. I would highly suggest not just doing it in the same spot over and over again. Mix up where you use it, but it's so easy to get tons of damage value by using this combo. Whether you're using it on Haven defense for throwing it in the window, whether you're throwing it on Bind defense B for hookah control and forcing enemies out of hookah while an enemy either pushes up or just forcing enemies back to delay, this kind of combo not only can punish enemies and damage them, but it really forces enemies away very quickly, and then if they want to retake that space, they have to walk back through the slow. It's just not realistic. So essentially, you can full stop a push with this combo. Another really underrated aspect of this combo is that when Sage walls and slows and stuff like that, she can often gum up a rush. So a rush is getting ready to execute onto point, right? And they're about to, and there's a wall that comes out and they break it. There's a slow that comes out and they wait. But when they're finally executing, they're grouped up, they've waited, they've kind of baited out this utility, and they push in, but RAZE can then be there to punish them after the fact, and you're gonna get more value because enemies are joint pushing together, trying to push upon a point, and of course you still have that boombot, you still have your paint shells, and RAZE actually plays around their own Sage's wall the best, being able to use your verticality and even some rollouts around the wall to actually get a lot of value on enemies unsuspectingly. For example, the enemy could often think that the Sage wall is something that protects them, your own teammate's Sage wall, but you as a RAZE can easily bounce over that and still damage enemies on the other side, whether they're rezzing, whether they're using an ultimate, whether they're just regrouping or hiding, it doesn't matter. The Sage wall is something that you can easily play around, play on top of, play over the top, throw abilities over, throw your boombot over, and I mean, the list goes on and on. This is an amazing combo, and I think that pound for pound, this duo is going to be good in just about every single team composition. But I really want to know your opinion down below. Is there any other combos that you really have been having a lot of success with? And is there any other combo that you think could work? I really want to know your opinion and why down below, and other people can read it so they get some ideas about what they and their duo can rock. That being said, if you need a duo partner, down below there'll be tons of people that are looking for a duo partner, or on the GameLeap Discord in the description down below, you can go find someone that is near your rank that really wants to grind, really wants to take the game seriously, and y'all can try out some of these duos together and dominate in episode 3. But go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for in-depth advanced guides, VOD reviews, tips and tricks, weapon courses, agent guides. I mean, we got it all on the GameLeap website. You gotta go check it out right now. But I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for coming by. I love yo goddamn faces, and I'll see you next time.